All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's workshop/webinar. My name is Sonia Siddiqui, and joining us today is Marcello. Hi, Marcello.
Hey, hi, how you doing?
Great. So we're very happy to have Marcello on board. He is an employment consultant for ACCESS Employment, and he's been doing several workshops for long time, and I'll let him introduce himself better right after I go through some points with you. So today's webinar is about how to best use LinkedIn for your job search. And Marcello, if you move to the next slide, I can just quickly go over how to best watch the webinar today. So I hope you all know that you are all on listen only mode, and we will not be able to hear you, but we will definitely take your questions towards the end of the presentation. I would advise you to type in your questions into the Q&A tab found at the bottom of your screen, or at the top. I'm assuming it's at the bottom of your screen. And do not type your questions into the chat because we will be looking at the Q&A tab only. And for best results, please use a laptop or a desktop computer. If you do want to use mobile devices such as cell phones or tablets, I suggest downloading the Zoom app, as that works best on mobile devices. And on to the next slide, please. Thank you, Marcello. So just to tell you a little bit about ACCESS, we've been around for over 30 years helping job seekers such as yourselves in person and online. In the past year, we were able to serve 34,000 job seekers, well over that actually. And we work with over 2,200 employers, and we have over 30 tailored programs that include sector-specific bridging programs, programs for youth, women, leadership, entrepreneurship, and Marcello's program, that's speed mentoring as well. Maybe Marcello will tell us a little bit about it. And then we've got 6 locations in the GTA, with our newest 7th location coming up in Newmarket. And we are obviously always online, and right now we're only online, so that's kind of like a location that you can look out for as well. And I'm going to hand it over to Marcello. Take it away, Marcello.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for joining our webinar today. And I know we put it out there as social media and your job search. And really the focus today is going to be mainly on LinkedIn. So I just want to make sure that's out there. It's great to meet all of you virtually. So hi there. As Sonia said earlier, my name is Marcello Scarcella. Yeah, it's a long name, I know. Marcello Scarcella, and I'm an employment consultant / facilitator for the Speed Mentoring Program. And Speed Mentoring really, for those of you that may not have heard of it, or you probably heard of it, it's really a way to meet employers in the community in different sectors. So we basically coordinate opportunities for our ACCESS clients to connect and get advice and receive guidance from potential employers in various sectors, and helps them really helps you build your network and build your connections. So we coordinate various different events: speed mentoring, speed networking, which is the same concept, guest speaker events, online talk English. That's part of what we do as well. So various events. And by the way, before I go on, and Sonia, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, but in a good way. Anything that you see, a lot of the online webinars that are put on by guest speakers and other people that you see on our website, for example, those are coordinated by my colleague here, Sonia. So Sonia, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it on behalf of everyone. Okay, so again, thanks so much for your time. Before I get into the main part of the presentation, which focuses mainly on LinkedIn, by the way, as I'm talking, I hope that everybody can hear me okay. Maybe you want to send a quick note to so Sonia can see that. Let me know if I'm okay volume-wise and so on.
Yep, you are doing great. Thank you, Marcello. Keep going.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Just a couple of things. And I'll just mention this very briefly. I don't know if anybody there has something called Twitter. Good old Twitter has been around for a long time. I'm not going to dwell on Twitter per se, but whether you have an account or not, you can actually do job search on Twitter as well as part of your whole job search strategy. And all you have to do is go on twitter.com. So just, if you want to do that, twitter.com/search. I just want to just share that very quickly up front. And you can search by regions, you know, for example, around Toronto will be Markham, Scarborough, so on. So you can kind of put in that in the website and sort of search by region and area to see what job listings are being displayed in that particular area. So I just wanted to share that with you very, very briefly. These days we have wonderful virtual technology. I'm sure, you know, a lot of people use different platforms. There's Instagram out there, which I use personally. You know, there's good old Facebook. There's so many things out there, Twitter, as I just mentioned. However, as far as establishing a professional profile that has impact, and that's the key. Whether we're going through, you know, slower times in the year or even the current situation, which, by the way, we all hope on behalf of ACCES that everybody's taking care of themselves, stay healthy and stay safe. That's important. Even through times like this, it's still important to plant those seeds like a farmer, you know, they cultivate those seeds, you know, to get out there and strengthen your profile, take a chance to reach out virtually. There's a lot of people that are working from home or have to do virtual things job-wise and otherwise. So it's a great time to do that. So hopefully some of the things that we're going to talk about can help you a little bit when it comes to either building or strengthening your LinkedIn profile. Now, I don't know how many of you out there even have a LinkedIn profile. Usually most people do, but even if you don't, it's very easy to create one. So this webinar will take you through a very, very brief template to create a LinkedIn profile. And then we're going to get into a little bit about job search and some things that you can do to sort of build your profile so that you can effectively network. Now, before I go on, again, and we will get to the presentation, I want to just plant some main thoughts in your mind. What I tend to suggest, and any topic I'm teaching or training on or workshops and et cetera, I sort of highlight three key questions. Now, and not to dwell on too long, but just to say it. So first of all, this is about personal branding. How do you present yourself, whether it's, you know, it's on LinkedIn or on a resume, or if you meet someone, you know, for the first time, or you're out networking at some point, obviously not now, but down the road. So the first question is who? In other words, who am I? Now, you know, that might sound very simplistic, but it's that who word, meaning, so in other words, how would you complete this statement? Let's say, I am a what? Blank. So I'm a what? Customer service professional. You know, I'm a career counselor, training expert. That'd be someone like me, for example. You know, I'm a financial analyst. I'm a business analyst. In other words, you know, how are you branding yourself? And are you comfortable and confident with that? It's just something sort of keep in mind, even as we're going through a lot of things we're talking about, we will be talking about shortly in the webinar. The second question really is what. So first of all, we have who. Again, I am a what statement. And then the word what, which is basically what's your area of expertise? What are you really good at? And that's important too. We all have something. We all have at least one or two things that we're really good at. Okay, you know, whether you're a great problem solver, maybe you're great at creating things, maybe you're great at implementing processes, you know, whatever that might be. And it's important just to know that, be able to express it, because, you know, again, that comes in handy in how you brand yourself on LinkedIn and so on. So I just want to kind of put that in your mind as we're talking here. So again, the who, the area of expertise, and the third, last but not least, is the word value. So again, who, what, value. And then, you know, value, I'm talking about what can you bring to the table?
So just looking at the time here, do you think that we can hop into the slideshow so we have the slides up as well for people to look at?
Oh, certainly, yeah, we'll do that, yeah. Just one final thought. So again, the value is, so again, it's, you know, what are your accomplishments? What can you bring to the table? So, you know, how can you help companies? So again, knowing what those accomplishments are and achievements. So there you go. So those are the three key words. Okay, so the who, what, and the value. Okay, so just a little bit about ACCES, as you can see here. So again, straightforward is we are a fully inclusive labor force that reflects the diversity, skills, and experience of Canada's population. That's our vision. Our mission is we assist job seekers from diverse backgrounds who are facing barriers to employment to integrate into the Canadian job market. We achieve this by providing employment services, linking employers to skilled people, and building strong networks in collaboration with community partners. And that's really what we're all about. Okay. So again, as you can see here, we're all about delivering results. So you can see it just as a big picture. We served over 35,000 people. Our job seekers served, in last year. We've had over 148,000. You can see there on the screen job seeker visits, and that's in person.
Sorry, Marcello, we can skip this slide because we already went over this one in the beginning. So we just want to get into it only because we're cutting
I apologize, guys.
Short for time. Thank you.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, sorry guys, I get talking away here. Okay, so sorry, I heard this. Okay, so as you can see, what we're going to talk about is some key things about LinkedIn. So now, what is LinkedIn? A little bit about. We're going to just go through a little bit about creating a LinkedIn account. We're going to build a LinkedIn profile that attracts employers. What are some of the things to consider? We talk about building your LinkedIn network. And we're also going to talk about searching and applying for jobs on LinkedIn, because that's important. And of course, then I got a few things that relate to extra credit. So let's just get right to it and look at just some stats. This is for LinkedIn overall. So I'm not going to go through all the numbers here. What this is really saying in 10 words or less is that the majority of organizations out there, whether we talk about Canada or the US or other parts of the world, in general, use LinkedIn for recruiting and sourcing out possible candidates for the positions. So you can see some of the numbers here are staggering, but this is for LinkedIn overall. And really, the bottom line message here is that the majority of employers out there, use LinkedIn. So 95% actually overall use LinkedIn to select and recruit. So I just want to sort of give you that message and to emphasize the power of LinkedIn and the importance of it. And again, and you can see here that the numbers of people that use LinkedIn to search for new job opportunities, and the number of applications that are submitted every month on LinkedIn. So just to give you a big picture of the impact and the importance of having a strong profile on LinkedIn. Okay, so let's look at a little bit about creating a LinkedIn account. And this is really easy. So for those of you that may not have created one, it's very, very straightforward. You can go to linkedin.com to really create the profile. So a little note at the bottom here, and you can probably see it. Did you know that 9 out of 10 employers use LinkedIn during the hiring process, which we said earlier? So we're going to look at setting up your account, look a little bit about your contacts, adding a photo, and downloading the LinkedIn mobile app. And for those of you that have not downloaded the LinkedIn app, I would certainly encourage you to download that app, because really, like everything else, is about the app. Okay, so let's move on here now. So again, just setting up your account, and you can see here, basically go to linkedin.com. Let's move up here, look down here a little bit so I can see what I'm doing here. Perfect. Okay, so linkedin.com and complete the prompts, including, so basically you want to build establish location, which is usually Toronto or whatever region you're in. It'll prompt you to put in what's your key industry, what sector experience do you have, and it'll ask you for a reason for joining. So these are things that you can follow very easily on the LinkedIn profile. So as you're setting up your account, LinkedIn is going to ask you these questions, which really, really makes it nice and easy and user-friendly. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about building a LinkedIn profile that attracts employers. All right, so some of the areas are going to be, we're going to look at the profile versus the resume. We have this question a lot. Look at taking a great photo. That's important, believe it or not, especially in today's world. Look at some of the areas where you can edit your profile. Privacy settings. Did you know, for example, that over 50% of hiring managers use LinkedIn profiles to qualify job seekers? Sorry. And again, honestly, it's a higher figure than that. The bottom line is strength and impact of profile is very important. So, example, profile versus resume. Okay. So again, and I'm going to stop here. As I mentioned before about the who, remember now, who are you? I am a what. The what, which is what's your area of expertise, and the value, what are some of your accomplishments. So these all come into play on LinkedIn and on your resumes as well. You can see here, just want to show a little comparison between, here's a part of a resume, and actually it's interesting because we're showing actually the top part of the resume, which is what most recruiters, most employers look at first. So if this part doesn't impact them, and hopefully in a positive way, or at least grab their attention with keywords and key phrases, then they're not going to go any further in the resume. So this part of the resume is very important. Now, if you look at some of the points that that we have here, for example, there's a few differences between your LinkedIn profile and your resume. LinkedIn, bottom line, is it's not meant to cut and paste your resume and put it into your LinkedIn profile. So if you look here, for example, your LinkedIn profile really speaks to all potential employers, not just a single one. Because your profile, if you really think about LinkedIn, it's really 24/7. It's on all the time, literally. So whatever you have on LinkedIn, you never know when someone's going to be out there, searching your profile there, or what recruiters are working late, especially these days, virtually, for example, and looking to see, okay, well, who's got the qualification that they're looking for. So again, it's constant. It's a really big picture way of representing yourself. That's what LinkedIn does. Okay, you can present the total picture of who you are, your different skills, the different jobs that you've had, the different areas of accomplishments, the different roles that you've had. Okay. Another point, the LinkedIn goes into more detail with skills, projects, interests, certifications, and more. So you really, again, it gets back to painting that big picture of who you are. A resume, as we all know, very important, of course. You will constantly, once you have your master resume set up, you really what you're doing is you're customizing your resume for various job postings. Okay, so that's always going to take place. You may customize a little bit. You're going to tailor it to the job that you're going for that in that moment. Now, of course, LinkedIn is a constant branding of yourself. Contains recommendations and endorsements. Another part of LinkedIn, and allows other professionals and employers to interact, learn, and contact you. So again, you're there, from a presentation point of view, from an impact point of view, and allowing people to connect with you. So LinkedIn is 24/7, ongoing branding, personal branding, impact. Resume, you're tailoring, applying for a job in that particular moment. That's the big difference. So if that helps a little bit with that particular point. Yeah, look at the photo. I mean, the photo is very important. This gentleman here has got a nice smile, he's pleasant. This is sort of the business casual look, which is pretty common these days. And you can see the background. And the background, usually most people will say, make it sort of neutral. And this is fine too, because even though it looks like it's a bit of a brick wall background, but it's sort of subdued. So the bottom line is, picture yourself being a recruiter and you're looking at various profile pictures. If you come across a picture like this, you're seeing the smile, the natural smile, and showing your true personality. So that's important. So you don't want to have that passport picture. I don't know if you can see my face on the screen, but that wouldn't attract. So it's going to show a very, very friendly face. Just be natural. Okay. So again, just very straightforward. Use a nice background that isn't distracting. Dress for the job you want. So in general, you got to make that judgment call. If you go for a financial analyst job, for example, in a bank or an insurance company, for example, well, if you're a gentleman, shirt and tie would probably be more appropriate. Ladies are great. There's all kinds of wonderful clothing for women, which is fantastic. They have a little more choice than we guys, to be honest with you. That's great. Fantastic. Or if it's, other roles, business casual is fine. So bottom line is, remember, you always remember how you're branding yourself. That's the key. It's the impact. So that picture, that visual part of LinkedIn is really important because, let's face it, it's first impressions. First impressions, right? That initial impact. Okay. So another part of building your profile is basically editing the profile. So you're basically, now you're really building it. You're putting in the building blocks, I'm going to call it that. Okay. So as it says here, and this is something you can go to the me section of your profile as you are creating this. Okay. And of course, what you would do, as you're building this, is that you're going to click in the me section. Okay. And you're going to begin to add to your profile, and you're going to add, and again, just in case you're wondering, I know we're covering a lot of information here, but the idea is that as you're building this, and you'll see this if you haven't done it already, if LinkedIn prompts you as you're going through these sections to complete, for example, put in your headline. In other words, how are you branding yourself under your picture? Here's your picture. Here's the name, but what are you calling yourself? This particular woman here is calling herself Creative Director at Explore. This is California, but passionate about web design, for example. Okay, so this branding part is very important. We're going to talk more about that later. Location, industry, summary. Now, this is also called the About section in your LinkedIn. Remember I was talking about the who, the what, and the value? Well, that's really what I'm talking about as well. The picture, the branding, and the value part is highlighted in your either summary or About section. Those are the three key areas that recruiters look at. So that's the message I want to get out there to everybody while we're talking about this. The who, the what, and the value. Those are the three areas: the picture, tagline, or headline, and the About or summary section. And of course, it prompts you to build in your work experience, your volunteer experience. Very important. This also can go on your resume, of course, and in LinkedIn also very important to list your volunteer experience, especially in the About section or summary section. Okay, education certifications, skills. These are all, as you're building it, it'll prompt you to fill these in. Okay, another part of the LinkedIn profile is writing a compelling headline. So, 5 to 10 words, and again, the headline is that statement or those few words that are under your picture. Again, what are you calling yourself? This gets back to, again, how what you're calling yourself, your value, your area of expertise. So, hopefully it gets people's attention. So there's a sample here, or this is just one example. We'll have other ones as we're going through. Creative Director at Explore, passionate about web design. This is one example of a headline. And actually, I've got other ones too. I can actually share with you as well. Just give me 1 second here. Okay, now these are sort of banking related and financial related, but just quick examples. Fraud specialists seeking opportunities to help protect the assets of financial organizations and the clients they serve. Another one might be compliance analysts seeking opportunities to help financial organizations develop risk management strategies. Banking advisor specializing in creating memorable client experiences. I'm just trying to give you some sort of the possible taglines that could be used, and those are examples of showing some value at the same time as you're building that tagline. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide here. And again, as you're building, you're going to be adding your industry. So, and again, LinkedIn's going to prompt you with this. Okay, for example, in this case, it's computer software. So you'll see all this as you're going through. Now this is critical. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes on this one. Draft a summary. So again, your elevator pitch. I don't know how many of you may be working with a counselor or a consultant, or maybe are developing or a sales pitch or elevator pitch, or have one already. In other words, it's a story about you, and this is where you build it into, for example, the About or Summary section in LinkedIn. So I'm just going to share this with you now as I'm trying to bring in another point. So tell me if I hope this helps a little bit as I'm thinking out loud here. In the About section or the Summary section, it is suggested in many cases by the experts and about feedback that we receive when we do events as well from employers. They'd like to see your story at the top of the Summary section or at the top of the About section. And you probably see, I don't know if you can see this on the screen very clearly. This is one example of a story here. But the bottom line is it's really about you. Again, how do you brand yourself? What's special about you? What's your area of expertise? How do you help people? And this is really critical because the more you have a strong story, it helps you answer that famous interview question. For example, tell me about yourself. That helps you sort of formulate that answer. As you meet people face to face, for example, knowing your story is important. Okay, so again, I really encourage you to build that. Again, you're focusing on career accomplishments and aspirations. Okay, so and there's like a magic formula, and I'll just share this very, very briefly. If you want to keep this in the back of your mind, I know this has been recorded, so I know you're going to receive the link afterwards too. So the magic formula is sort of three areas. If you picture the word I and a blank, so what you do best. So it's what you do best, who's your target audience, and what's the result that you provide. Now, for example, I guess I could say in my case, I'm a career consultant, a facilitator, or employment consultant facilitator. Or another way of saying this is I coordinate impactful learning and networking events for job seekers in Canada so that they may build their connections and expand their network. So that's just a very, very quick, brief magic formula of how to build a story. And then you can expand upon that. So again, what do you do best? Who's your target audience? And what's the result that you provide? If you can build it even around those three things, then you are on your way to building a very strong story. So I hope that helps a little bit. Okay. And again, this will prompt you to detail your work experience. So, and you'll see that on the profile. In your experience section, you'll see this. This is an example of how you can word. It's basically putting in sort of a summary of the main theme or main focus of what you did or what you do in your current job or what you did do in your previous job, and what you might have accomplished in that particular job. So sort of that's how you can put in. That's kind of the way you put in your experience section. So hopefully that's helpful so far. And again, it's going to prompt you to add your education, licenses, and certifications as well. In Canada, particularly, for example, but employers in general, really get impressed when people are doing something to develop themselves, whether it might be certification, you might be taking a course as continuous improvement, professional development. Those things, especially in here in Canada, for example, is critical. But anything that you might have, LinkedIn's going to prompt you to add those into your profile. Okay. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's important to include your volunteer experience. And I mean, if nothing else, volunteering for anything, it doesn't have to be related to your sector, but volunteering for anything really gives you that sense of, oh, okay, you're learning about how people communicate, how they interact, perhaps the environment itself, the actual workplace, or what's the culture like. You're experiencing that, and then that should be put on your resume as well, and also in the summary or about section in LinkedIn, because you want to share that, okay? And because you're demonstrating various key skills as you volunteer. And again, another section that's in LinkedIn is featured skills and endorsements. Again, you'll see this as you're building your profile. I'm just showing you visual screenshots of the different sections of the LinkedIn profile as you're building it. And you can see here that there's a spot, and you'll see it on as you build yours, where you can just edit and add in your skill. And what's the purpose of this? Well, first of all, you're showing the profile of your skills, because you never know. Let's say someone like myself or recruiters, and we're very busy, we're looking for some key people for a company. Well, you never know how far we're going to go down your profile. Most cases, most people don't get past the picture, the heading, or the branding, and the about section. Those are the first three. No, they don't usually go past that unless something really hits them as they're going through, and then they'll proceed further into the experience area and so on. So it's a nice profile to have of your skills. And as you build your connections, people can endorse you with those skills as well. So it's always nice to have that as part of your profile. Okay. Another part of LinkedIn is privacy settings. So again, this is something, and a lot of you may already know this if you have a profile, but for those that may not, it's very, very easy. You want to, again, on your profile, you're going to click the me icon, which is really where it shows your picture on your profile, and then there'll be a drop-down menu, and you can go into your settings and privacy to begin managing your account settings. And this is something that you've got to make that call for yourself as to how you're going to set your settings. In most cases, I would certainly encourage you to set it for public viewing. I mean, you want people to see your profile. That's the whole idea, is that people understand who you are. But again, that's an area where you can manage your own settings within LinkedIn. Okay. So far we've covered the branding part, we've covered the picture, the branding, editing a profile and sort of building it, because the more you build it, the more you're adding in there, the more that people will notice as they search keywords and key phrases. So the more you put in that's critical, that's focused, that increases your chances of being searched. That's the best way. Let's talk a bit about building your LinkedIn network to connect to job opportunities. I mean, that's important, right? That's what it's all about. Did you know that about 70% of people were hired at a company where they had a connection. Now, probably not a surprise. I mean, it's probably even higher than that. The bottom line is, if you know people, if people can refer you, this is where the power of networking comes in. And you hear probably a lot about that from a lot of people. Networking online and offline. Now, of course, in these days, of course, it's very important to continue to network online. You want to, again, like I said before, plant those seeds, and that's really, really important. So we'll talk about discovering existing connections. Search for new connections. We're going to talk about messaging connections. You're going to see on the slide very shortly, there's actually a YouTube link. And I may suggest to you to, if you have a phone, you can either take a picture of that link as well, or you'll see it afterwards in the recording. And there's a gentleman there that talks about different ways of messaging on LinkedIn. So I just want to draw that to your attention, because that's going to come up soon. Okay. So now we're talking about discovering existing connections. And this is really, really cool, because you can see here by clicking on My Network, which is, now I don't know if you see this, I'm just going to My Network up here, where my arrow is. And so on your profile, as you're building your profile, you'll see this. This is where you're going to find people that you may already know. Now, notice what it says here. The recommendations is in this section: improve as you add connections. Check back frequently as your network grows. So again, as you're building, for example, as you're adding connections that people understand who you are and so on. This is when you do click on My Network, then you're going to see more and more people that you may know based on connections, based on your activity. And then you can choose to either accept the request to connect, or you can choose to connect with them. You'll see all this as you're going through your profile and as you're building your profile. And I guess you can see here too, if people request to connect with you, you can either ignore or accept. And it's up to you in the end, because you're the one building your network. But I always urge you to check their profile. If someone's requesting to connect with you, check the profile. Do an overview, and really get a sense of who that person is. Because many times people don't do that. They go, oh no, I'm not going to bother. Take the extra minute or two and look at who they are, and then maybe a connection or a common point where you can begin to build a relationship. Because that's what it's all about, right? You want to build relationships on LinkedIn. Okay. And again, searching for another part of LinkedIn is searching for new connections as well. And you can see for yourself, and this is what's really cool about LinkedIn, again, is so many different ways to search. The search parameters are just amazing. Search by, current companies, past companies, search by industry, search by schools, so on, search by individuals, contacts, companies, and it's almost endless in the different ways you can search by name, company, school, etc. So it's really up to you how you sort of manage that. And if I go on here, yeah. So again, you want to make sure that you search companies that you want to follow, perhaps. I certainly encourage you to, as you're searching companies that you may want to perhaps work for at some point. Hey, why not, first of all, search them, and secondly, follow them. Many times, if you follow various organizations, maybe the top 5 or top 10 that you want to work with, hey, you know what? It's a great way to find out what's happening behind the scenes. What are they doing? What's their culture like? Are they in the process of developing a new service or a new product? Many times that's not always out there. So if you're following organizations, you can find out some of this information that may help you as you are building your network and so on. So it's always good to get that, as people like to say sometimes, the inside scoop, as they say. Oh, now it's funny we're talking about this now. I mentioned earlier about messaging connections, or sending them an invite to connect, or sending just a message to say like to look for an opportunity to perhaps connect with you and to have a chat at some point at your convenience. I've got some phrases that you can use that may help you a little bit, and I'll just read them very briefly here. But this is what I was referring to. I don't know if you can take a picture with your phone, but you'll see this in the recording anyway. I won't click on this now, but there's a gentleman that speaks on this particular clip on YouTube that really goes into a whole different ways of messaging on LinkedIn. And I really think that if any of you are interested, you'll find that very, very beneficial for sure. So I just encourage you to do that. because again, there's many ways you can send a message on LinkedIn. You can go through the connections. You can message them if you see them on your page as they come up. You can look at their profile page and then to send a direct message. I mean, there's so many different ways. And so again, I encourage you to have a look at that as well. Now, we talked a little bit about, again, now we covered a lot of different things about building the LinkedIn profile. We've talked about the branding aspect and how you can, build your, again, the picture, the branding, and the about section or the summary section. Building the building blocks of your LinkedIn profile as you're going through. And of course, as you're going through, you want to add value besides what you have on the profile. It's just a point about adding value on LinkedIn. For example, you want to, giving testimonials, recommendations to others. That's a huge area. So if you were to look at if you'd like, you can look at my profile. If you want to look me up, Marcello Scarcella. You probably saw that on the online webinar listing. And feel free if you want to just have a look me up and see. I've been on LinkedIn for a while. I'm not the world expert, to be honest with you, but I've certainly been very active pretty well every day on LinkedIn through my wonderful phone app and so on. And I tend to share many things. It's always about activity on LinkedIn. So, but testimonials is a big part of it. I've asked people for recommendations, and they've asked me for recommendations, for example. So what does that do? Well, that again raises the impact of your profile, that people are willing to do that. Share your expertise, you see here on the screen, which is great by writing helpful articles. By the way, if anyone's interested, I'm not trying to, but if you have to go on my profile, I wrote an article quite a while ago that relates to what I talked about earlier: the who, the what, and the value. So if you're curious, feel free to read it. If you like it, you can share it. No problem with that whatsoever. But it's on LinkedIn, on the home page. Those of you that you're in the process of creating your LinkedIn profile, you go on the home page on your profile as you're building it. I mean, that's a great spot to perhaps, if you're really passionate about something in your industry, perhaps you're really in tune with developments in the financial sector, perhaps, or maybe it's learning developments or leadership. There's a lot on leadership on LinkedIn these days. I personally share a lot of things that relate to leadership. If people that connected with me, I share things about leadership, about customer service trends, new digital technology, new learning methodologies, things that are inspirational. I like a lot of quotes, and I do that and more of that because I know based on the response of those posts that are going out there, a lot of likes, a lot of comments. It's like, oh, okay, people like this. I'm going to send more of this. So that's and again, or if you want to write an article again about what you're passionate for. Right there, you're basically an author. You're putting something up there that you feel really good about, that you know a lot about. Again, we go back to that, what I said earlier, what's your area of expertise? Share things that relate to that raises your profile on LinkedIn. Very important. Like and share things that people in your network will care about and post. And again, I was just talking about that. So again, you have to be able to read your audience, and this is important too. As you're building connections, as you're sending things out, what kind of reaction are you getting? Getting a few likes? Likes are good, absolutely. Getting some comments, that's great as well. So with that, and that'll sort of determine what you do send out, how much of what you do send out. Invest your time in your connections. Take them to lunch or even just listen. Now, of course, lunch right now, of course, is not the way to go, but that will come back. Have faith at some point. However, there's other ways that you can, as you're building your connections, that you can, hopefully work towards having maybe either do an email or use, Zoom. We're using Zoom, Skype or WhatsApp video or whatever works. There's so many things out there where you can have a conversation and just have a chat with someone that you connected with on LinkedIn. So there's no excuse really in that sense not to be able to look for those opportunities. And just take a chance to learn from, experts out there. And what's really cool too about LinkedIn, you can make introductions for others, for other people. And I've had that too, where someone said, one of my connections, hey, Marcello, I'd like to work for the ABC company. I'm wondering, I noticed that this, Peter Jonathan or Johnson is connected to you. I wonder if you can introduce me to him. That kind of thing. And I've done that on occasion if it's appropriate, that is, of course. So there's a lot of power as you become active and building the LinkedIn profile and so on. So I hope that gives you a bit of a picture as how you can sort of add value when it comes to your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Now, another area that we'd like to talk about is, of course, searching and applying for jobs on LinkedIn. So, and some of the areas are again, get the LinkedIn job search app. I mentioned this earlier, so if you don't have it right now, make sure to download the app. It's very easy. The LinkedIn app, job search app on your phone. First of all, it's a lot easier to manage, easier to use. For sure, the desktop version is good, but you can do many, many more things with the app, and it is about the app anyway. You can, set your career interests. We'll talk a bit about that. Searching for jobs, using your network, following companies, and apply actively. So we'll talk a bit about that. Let me go down to a did you know? There are over 10 million employers and 7.5 million monthly job postings on LinkedIn. And I just, I don't like to throw stats out too often, but just to give you the impact of LinkedIn. Okay. So let's look at setting career interests. Now you can see here just in our light bulb statements here, turn on the open candidate setting to let employers know. So when you go into your career interests section in your LinkedIn profile, you'll see this as you're building it, okay? What this is really saying is that, you can choose this. Do you want recruiters to know, or potential employers to know that you're actively looking or actively searching for a new job? So you can turn that either on or off, and then it's a section that you can fill in, and it's going to ask you, well, what kind of note do you want to send to the recruiters out there? What do you want to say about yourself? Usually, I tend to suggest that you do almost like a mini sales pitch. Just do a quick statement, 1 or 2 sentences about how you brand yourself and what is special about you, what's your area of expertise, and how can you help organizations. Kind of goes back to how you brand yourself at the top of the LinkedIn profile. Okay. So again, you want to either have this off or on, and you can decide this, but having it on lets any recruiters out there know that you are actively looking for work. And of course, download the LinkedIn Job Search mobile app, as I mentioned, to see job notifications very, very quickly. Okay. Now, as you're searching for jobs, and again, there's many ways to search here, and we could probably go into all. This could be another webinar or 2 or 3 for sure. But very, very briefly, and you can see this. Okay, so when you go in the jobs again section of your LinkedIn profile, you'll see this. At the top, you can search so many different ways. Again, by keyword. Again, everybody knows what a keyword is. Okay, or key phrases. You can search by. Maybe you're searching by learning expertise or learning expert, or maybe you're searching by business analyst, for example. Those could be keywords. You search by job title, okay, company, locations, and so on. So this gives you some examples of how you can search to bring up various opportunities. And again, and this is how you begin to really get a sense of the types of jobs that are out there and what the jobs require. What are they all about? So this is an important time doing this because you're investing in yourself, and that's critical. And as you're doing this, of course, you want to review jobs that you may be interested in. So again, make your profile as impactful as you can. Look at your work experience, skills, location information. That's why it's important to remember at the beginning we were talking about how you're building your profile, and they started from sort of step 1, and as you're adding those building blocks or Lego blocks, you want to put it that way. As you're building, you want to make sure that you're putting in the key focused information, keywords, key phrases that really describe what you do and who you are. And in the search part that I mentioned before, so I'm back here actually, yeah. So you can search jobs, you search by company, for example. Search by company. You do that, and you're going to see a screen like this with the various companies that come up. And many times I tend to suggest to clients, and I've done this too, just even out of curiosity, is to go in here and click on various companies and say, let's see what they're all about. And perhaps, and look at the inside information and begin to follow some of the companies that really interest you so that you get that inside information. And of course, you want to use your network. You've got a network. You're building it as we're going through. A big part of your success in achieving a role that is your preference is asking for job referrals by reaching out to your connections at a company that you'd like to apply to. And sometimes people have connections with various companies, and it never hurts to look at their profile and begin to reach out and see if there's any opportunity that perhaps they can help you with. I've seen many clients do this where they knew someone in a company, reached out via LinkedIn. The majority of success that I see the clients have really is through LinkedIn. They're making the connections, whether it's they're getting referred by someone that they know, and also they're having success in setting up those meetings or chats, in other words, so that they're learning more about their various industries. So again, I really encourage you to do that. Follow those companies that you'd like to, work for at some point. Get that inside information. Now we're pretty well at the sort of the end of as far as the slides are concerned. But I just want to, if I may, Sonia, I don't know what our timing is like here, but there's a few conclusion points I'd like to kind of share. Is that okay? Do we have time?
Yeah. So we're down to the last 10 minutes. We would like some time for questions as well. So if we can quickly wrap it up, so we can do some questions, take up some Q&A.
Oh, that's great. Okay. By the way, thanks to everyone again so far for your patience, and hopefully some of this helps you a little bit as you're building your profile. I just want to share just a phrase as you are reaching out to people on LinkedIn to try to you want to reach out to people that you want to connect with, people in your sector, for example. So, and these are you'll see this or hear this on the recording, but one example. If you decide to use the word seeking opportunities in your heading, so again, under the picture, this is just an example. Tax accountant seeking opportunities to minimize tax liabilities and ensure tax compliance. Again, I'm a tax accountant, not that I am the same. I'm a tax accountant seeking opportunities to minimize tax liabilities and ensure tax compliance. So what am I doing there? I'm showing the who, I'm showing the what and the value, and those three things in a statement like that. So just want to give you that example to say, how important it is to have that branding statement. And this is the building process as well, of course. So as it says here, apply actively. So in other words, first of all, activity is important. You want to be active on sharing posts and building connections. And the other thing too, I want to share the story. As you're building connections and want to establish relationships, there's another statement that you could use, or just an idea that as you begin to connect and want to connect with people to get their advice and hopefully meet or chat at some point. This is just an example. I'm currently expanding my network within the financial industry, and I'm looking for opportunities to learn from industry professionals such as yourself. Please accept my request to connect. So that's just an example of how you could approach people as you begin to build the connections. Okay, so I just want to share that with you. And again, you know what? You'll see on your app, you can set up your job alerts to either what's called Easy Apply or Apply. And on your mobile app, it's very easy to do that. So as they come up, it'll prompt you. You can see Easy Apply and import your resume, your most current resume, and apply online, but especially using the app is really, really quick, nice and easy, and you'll see that as you're building your profile. So again, just thank you so much for your time. I hope this helped a little bit. Sorry, we're going a little bit close, but I know I think we have time for some questions. So, hey, Sonia, feel free to post some questions. That'd be great.
All right, thank you, Marcello. Can you move the slide forward all the way to the question slide? Yeah, let's leave this one on. So,
this one on? Okay.
Yeah, let's leave this one on so everyone knows what we have. So we have services available online. I know this is an EO workshop usually, and we've condensed it into a quick webinar. And you can see online that we have our online event series, which features webinars and workshops throughout this month of March, and more coming up in April. We have already posted a few, and we will be posting a few more by the end of this week. And if you are looking for job search support, you can check out our ACCES page, websites in front of you. And you can also practice your English conversation skills by joining Talk English Cafe. We've increased the amount of classes that we offer online as well. And if you'd like to book an appointment with an employment consultant, even though you might not be able to, well, you certainly can't come in person, you can speak with someone online using Zoom or via phone call. So call your closest ACCESS location and we will definitely be able to help you with your job search. We are all working and here to support you. So if you can start typing your questions into the Q&A tab, we can start taking them in. So the first question we have here, Marcello, is
Yes.
is it possible to have an active premium LinkedIn account?
Okay, let me just repeat that because there's a bit of a stab there. I'm sorry. Is it possible to have an active premium account? Was that the question?
Yeah, premium LinkedIn account.
Oh, premium? Yeah. Okay, if the question is it possible? Is that what you said? I'm sorry, I had to listen to that.
Yes, that's what it said. Well, it is possible, but you do have to pay for it.
You do, and yeah, and I was just going to mention that there is a cost for those that may not know, and honestly, so the short answer is it's certainly very, very beneficial. A lot of people do have a LinkedIn Premium account. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't, but that doesn't mean anything. I've had basic for even right till now. Premium allows for further messaging. You can do in-mails. So there's other ways to connect with potential employers, and you can see more people that have viewed your profile. So there's additional benefits to having a premium account. One thing I would say is before you're considering that is to make sure that your current profile in the basic account mode is strong and that you've built it to a good level before you might consider something like that. It's just my thought.
Thank you so much, Marcello. Another question here is, can you define the value part of the headline section? Like, can you maybe give some more examples? Like, what is the best way to make that headline section stand out? And what value can you put in there?
Right. Oh no, great question. And again, it really gets down to the value part is really about, how can you help an organization? So for example, and I think let me just go back to one of the ones that I had read out to you before. And I'll go back to, I think I had it earlier, the tax accountant example. So if you look at this statement, let's say pretending that you're a tax accountant or that you're an accountant, but let's say you're a tax accountant, that's specific, branding. And if you're going to use the phrase seeking opportunities, not everybody, you don't have to use that phrase, but if you decide to use the phrase seeking opportunities, then in this case, as I said before, tax accountants seeking opportunities to minimize tax liabilities and ensure tax compliance. So there, you see the branding, you're seeing that, okay, you're looking for opportunities, but you're looking for opportunities to help people or help organizations minimize tax liabilities and ensure tax compliance. So that's just an example of the branding and showing the value in that sense. Another one might be, for example, compliance analysts seeking opportunities to help financial organizations develop risk management strategies. So it's again looking at it and say, okay, this is what I do. This is what I can bring to the table, and this is and I'm an expert. And so it's like that magic formula that I referred to earlier as well. Okay, so what do you do best? Who's your target audience? And what's the result that you want to provide? So that really, really gets down to helping you build that. I don't know if that helps a little bit. That's why I can answer that.
No, thank you, Marcello. Next question here is, if you're a premium member, is it better to just use the easy apply option and apply for the position, or should you contact the HR staff directly?
Oh, interesting question. My first thought, more of an opinion, but also based on some feedback too, is and every job that comes up, it's going to give you specific instructions, and you can set it up where you want on the profile as you're building your profile, you can set it up to have easy certain ones that are going to be easy apply, certain ones that are going to be applying through the normal way. A lot of cases, honestly, the feedback that I've even heard in recent times is that the easy apply it tends to be quite effective, even more effective than many times going to the applied route or takes you to a website and so on. So that's the best way I could say that.
I definitely have to agree with that. Thank you, Marcello. Great question here, which is coming up next, is often people write actively seeking job opportunities on their profile. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yes. Well, well, Sonia, what do you think, though? I might even ask you that, too.
Well, you know what? I'd like to jump in because I do a lot of webinars with employers, and they always suggest not to put that there because it's just something that will turn employers off right away. Don't talk about that you're looking for a job. Talk about who you are and what you are there to offer. So as soon as you start looking for opportunities, like what kind of opportunities? What are you looking for? That's not who you are. You're not a permanent job seeker. So there's so much more to you and your profile. So put that there, just like Marcello mentioned, put a line that adds value, and seeking job opportunities does not add value to your profile at all. And Marcello, another good question here that you probably get a lot is, do I have to match my resume to my LinkedIn every time I apply for a job? Do I have to go change my LinkedIn every time when you're targeting a job using a resume?
Oh, thank you for that question. Okay, as we said earlier, I think in the webinar, we were comparing, sort of looking at the resume and the LinkedIn profile. Here's the best way I could say it, if this helps at all. Okay, first of all, the LinkedIn itself is really designed so that you could present the best possible big picture. I'll use that phrase, big picture snapshot of who you are, the different roles that you've had, the different skills that you have, and especially in the about summary section. I'm going to emphasize that because that's really important. That's really showing who you are. So that's a massive profile. So really, I mean, that's the key. So as you're applying for jobs, or you look at job postings, certainly you want to tailor your resume for that particular job posting. But by rights, even with the resume, you shouldn't have to tailor it too much if you have a good, strong core or template resume, if that makes sense. You may customize a little bit, maybe your objective or some of your key skills at the top, but you want to certainly customize for that job posting. And that's at that moment, and that's great. At that moment, you don't have to change your LinkedIn profile. And it's something totally on the other spectrum. They may have to look at your branding at the top. So I don't know if that makes sense, but basically resume, you do it, you customize it, that's it, for that job posting. Your LinkedIn is really the big picture snapshot of who you are. That's the big difference.
Yeah, I do not, a lot of people post their resumes on their LinkedIn. That's not what you're doing. You're just basically talking about your position, where it is, and how, you've helped make changes in the organization, how you've helped make something positive happen in your role. So it's really not your resume at all. So it shouldn't matter what you're targeting on your resume as compared to LinkedIn. And Marcello, what if someone has done multiple roles over the year? Do they, and let's say they're not looking for a job using one of those roles, is it okay to leave those roles on your LinkedIn? Previous roles.
Okay. So if I understand the question, okay. It depends how far back we're going as far as number of years. Put it this way, in a lot of cases, and especially the way things are, and Sonia, please feel free to jump in on this, but what I've seen, most employers, most recruiters are looking at what individuals have done in the last 3 to 5 years. That's about the average. From what I've gathered. I'm not sure what do you think, Sonia, about that? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, so it depends on how back you're going. And also it doesn't hurt to put different kinds of experiences on LinkedIn. It just shows, how many different hats you can put on and how many different roles that you can do. I'm doing online services right now. I'm helping with tech support, all of this. But I do not have a background in this at all. I used to teach before. So it's just that
Yeah.
it shows, you know, how versatile you are and how many different roles and jobs you can quickly pick up and do. So I suggest put everything there. It just shows you're able to do all of these jobs. And you never know, there might
Oh,
be a position that requires you to use a little bit of everything that you've done before.
oh
So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, I hope that answers your question. And some people are asking how many years of experience to put on a resume. I wouldn't put more than 10 years of experience on your resume. So you don't,
I
anything
agree.
over 10 years, just don't put it there. It's fine. And I know a lot of people
Yep.
will ask, well, what about, that's going to make me look like I'm an, you know, just started the workforce. No, 10 years of experience, that's all you're putting on your resume. And
I totally agree.
yep,
Yeah.
and I think I've answered pretty much all of the questions here, and I know that we're over our time. So Marcello, is there anything else you'd like to add before we log off today?
Well, sorry. First of all, thank you, Sonia, you know, for supporting and being here. So appreciate that. Thanks to everyone again for joining today. And probably the biggest takeaway, if I could just leave this with you, I know you'll see the recording afterwards at some point, but again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to just be clear, be focused on who you are. You know, remember the who, the what, and the value again. You know, those three things are so important. And if I just say one more quick thing, Sonia, sorry. In the About Summary section, besides putting your story at the top, as I suggested earlier, or your sales pitch, your elevator pitch, as you're building that section, there you want to also feature your accomplishments in bullet point form. 4, 5, 6 accomplishments from the different roles that you've done in the last 5 to 10 years, just to show the different aspects of who you are. And of course, any kind of volunteer experience. So that's really critical as far as building your profile. So thanks again. Hope this helps, and maybe we'll talk again sometime. Take care.
Awesome. So thank you, Marcello. If you can move to the next slide, I can talk about the upcoming webinars. Just
Okay.
right after
Oh,
this.
sorry.
Yeah, just no, keep going.
No, oh, it's oh, no one blank. Sorry about that. No,
So
I
just towards the last slide, if you can start again.
yeah.
Well, I guess oh, you know what? I actually have it on my end. Sorry, what am I saying? So give
Oh,
me
okay.
1 second.
That's okay.
1 second. I'm gonna, so Marcello, if you can stop sharing your screen.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, stop share. And then I can.
Okay, just 1 sec. There we go. Stop share. There we go.
Awesome. So I'm just going to share my screen just to show you what we have available. Oops. I'm gonna stop share here. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna talk about how you can go to
Sure.
our website, just like we mentioned. I'm gonna share this slide here right now. Sorry for the technical difficulties here, but if you have a look at this slide here, if you go on our website, accessemployment.ca/online event series, you can see what's coming up next. And please sign up. Marcel, we've got 2 webinars tomorrow, one at 11 a.m. featuring the pharmaceutical industry. And then we've got Marcello back with us at 2 p.m. talking about labor market trends. So we're looking forward to that. So join us again. Go on the website here and register, and we'll see you all tomorrow. And Marcello, I will see you tomorrow as well.
See you, Sonia. Take care. Thank you.
All right, everyone, have a great evening ahead. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.